Amelia sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the worn photograph that lay between her fingers. It was a snapshot of two girls, one with unruly curls and a toothy grin, and the other with straight hair pulled back tightly, a spark of mischief glimmering in her eyes. They had been inseparable once, weaving dreams of adventure together in the sunlit corners of their childhood home. But now, the silence that stretched between them was deafening, echoing the years of hurt and resentment that had built up like a wall between sisters. The photograph reminded her of laughter and shared secrets, but it also brought a wave of bitterness, memories tainted by the fallout of their father's death. Before we dive deeper into this emotional journey, I want to ask you to please subscribe to our channel. Your support is everything to us and is the only way to ensure these heartfelt stories reach more people. So please, take a moment to subscribe now. As she traced the outline of their faces, Amelia felt a familiar surge of anger, mixed with a heart-wrenching sense of loss. Rose, the sister she had once adored, had become a stranger overnight, a woman with whom she could no longer share her thoughts or feelings. Their last conversation had been a bitter exchange fueled by grief and confusion, a moment that had spiraled into years of silence. Amelia had buried herself in work, thrown herself into friendships that didn't require the depth of family ties, and masked her sorrow behind a facade of independence. Yet, deep down, she felt the void, a gnawing emptiness that echoed with unspoken words and unresolved pain. Meanwhile, across town, Rose lay in her dimly lit living room, the quiet hum of a distant clock marking the passage of time. She had always been the dreamer, the one who painted the world with vibrant colors. Yet now her life felt like a faded canvas, stripped of joy and laughter. The recent diagnosis had shaken her to the core, forcing her to confront the reality she had long avoided. The illness was relentless, a constant reminder of her mortality, and with each passing day, the weight of unspoken apologies grew heavier on her heart. She missed Amelia fiercely, even as the bitterness of their last encounter replayed in her mind like a haunting melody. In her solitude, she longed for reconciliation, yet the fear of rejection held her captive. The thought of reaching out felt both terrifying and liberating. It was a risk, but one she was willing to take. With trembling hands, she picked up a pen and began to pour her heart onto the page. Words flowed like a river, each sentence steeped in regret and longing. She wrote about the love they had shared, how it had been overshadowed by anger and misunderstanding, and how her heart ached for her sister's forgiveness. The letter was raw and honest, a reflection of her soul laid bare, and she hoped that somehow Amelia would understand the depth of her sorrow. As she sealed the envelope, a flicker of hope ignited within her. This could be the bridge that closed the chasm between them, a chance to mend what had been broken. With a deep breath, she slipped the letter into the mailbox, a symbolic gesture that marked the beginning of a new chapter. Little did she know, Amelia was already grappling with her own feelings, caught in the crossfire of past pain and present longing. Days passed, and the letter traveled through the hands of strangers, each one unknowingly carrying a piece of Rose's heart. When Amelia finally received it, she hesitated, her hands shaking as she recognized her sister's handwriting. The weight of the envelope felt heavy, filled with the potential for healing or further heartache. She opened it slowly, her heart pounding in her chest as she began to read. Each word resonated with the grief they both had endured, and with each line, the wall she had built around her heart began to crack. Amelia's initial reaction was a whirlwind of emotions: anger, sadness, and a flicker of hope. The words on the page painted a vivid picture of Rose's struggles, the fears she had faced alone, and the profound loneliness that had enveloped her. With every sentence, Amelia found herself drawn back to moments of their shared past, memories that had once felt like a distant dream, now surfacing with a bittersweet clarity. She remembered their childhood adventures, the secret hideouts in the backyard, and the late-night talks that had forged an unbreakable bond, only to be shattered by the weight of their father's hidden will. Conflicted, Amelia battled against the urge to respond immediately. She wanted to scream, to unleash the flood of pain she had held inside for so long. But she also felt an undeniable pull toward reconciliation. Could she really forgive Rose? Could they navigate the tangled web of their shared history and find a way back to each other? The questions swirled in her mind, and the answers felt just out of reach, like a distant star flickering in the night sky. As the days turned into weeks, Amelia found herself unable to shake the weight of the letter. It haunted her thoughts, echoing in her dreams, and she began reflecting on her own choices, the decisions that had led them to this moment of estrangement. She sought solace in the familiar routines of her life, but the joy that once filled her days was now tinged with an overwhelming sense of longing. The idea of visiting Rose began to take root in her mind, a flicker of hope igniting within her. What if they could confront their past together? What if this was the chance to rediscover the love that had been buried beneath layers of anger and regret? In a moment of clarity, Amelia made her decision. She would go to Rose. With her heart racing, she packed a small bag, her mind racing with the possibilities of what lay ahead. It was a journey into the unknown, but perhaps that was exactly what they both needed. A chance to confront their past and unravel the secrets that had kept them apart for so long. Little did they know that this journey would not only lead them to forgiveness, but would also uncover truths about their family that had remained hidden, waiting for the right moment to resurface. The road stretched before her as she drove, each mile bringing her closer to her sister and the potential for healing. The scenery blurred past, but Amelia's thoughts were sharply focused on what awaited her. Would Rose be receptive to her presence? Would old wounds resurface? Or would they find a way to navigate through the pain together? As she approached Rose's home, a wave of apprehension washed over her, but alongside it was a flicker of hope. Hope that this could be the beginning of something beautiful, a rekindling of sisterly love that time and anger had tried to bury. Amelia parked her car outside Rose's home, the familiar house now seeming foreign and daunting. The garden, once vibrant with flowers and laughter, appeared overgrown and neglected. It was a stark reminder of the years that had slipped through their fingers like sand, each grain representing moments that could have been shared but were lost to resentment and silence. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. The flutter of apprehension in her stomach was met with a steely resolve. This was a step she had to take. She approached the front door slowly, each step echoing in her mind, a countdown to a moment she had both longed for and dreaded. Her hand hovered over the doorbell before she pressed it, the chime ringing out into the stillness. Moments stretched, feeling like an eternity, until she heard the soft sound of footsteps approaching. When the door opened, Amelia was met with a sight that tugged at her heart. Rose, looking fragile yet hopeful, her eyes wide with surprise. "Amelia." Rose's voice was barely a whisper, laced with disbelief. "Hi, Rose," Amelia replied, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions threatening to spill over. They stood there for a moment, the air thick with everything that had gone unsaid. The years of silence hung heavily between them, but there was also an undeniable current of yearning, a shared desire to bridge the chasm that had grown so vast. "Can I come in?" Amelia asked, her heart racing. Rose stepped aside, allowing her sister to enter. The living room was dimly lit, the curtains drawn as if to ward off the outside world. It felt like a sanctuary, yet it was tinged with an air of melancholy. Amelia took in the familiar surroundings, the worn-out sofa, the family photos that adorned the walls, each one a testament to happier times. As Amelia settled onto the sofa, Rose took a seat across from her, their gazes locked in a moment of silent understanding. The air was thick with unspoken words, and Amelia could feel the weight of their shared history pressing down on them. She opened her mouth to speak, but the words caught in her throat. "I got your letter," she finally managed to say, her voice trembling with emotion. Rose's expression shifted to one of vulnerability. "I didn't know if you'd come. I thought you might never want to see me again." A lump formed in Amelia's throat as she watched her sister, the pain etched on her face. "I didn't want to see you either, but receiving your letter made me realize how much I've missed you, despite everything that happened." Tears filled Rose's eyes, and she blinked rapidly. "I'm so sorry, Amelia. For everything. I wish I could take it all back." The sincerity of Rose's apology pierced through Amelia's defenses, and she felt her anger begin to thaw. "I'm sorry too. I let my grief turn into resentment, and I didn't handle it well. I didn't even give you a chance to explain before shutting you out." Rose nodded, the acknowledgement of their shared culpability hanging in the air like a fragile thread connecting them. "I was scared and hurt. I thought I was losing my sister forever, and I didn't know how to fight for us." Amelia looked down at her hands, the weight of regret pressing down on her. "I should have fought too. I let our fathers will tear us apart instead of coming together as a family. We were all hurting, but we should have leaned on each other, not away." Rose leaned forward, her voice trembling. "I miss us, Amelia. I miss talking about everything and nothing. I miss you." A tear slipped down Amelia's cheek, and she quickly brushed it away. "I miss us too, Rose. I want us to be sisters again, but it's going to take time. Time is something we might not have," Rose said quietly, the reality of her illness looming over them like a dark cloud. "I want to make things right before it's too late." Amelia felt her heart clench at Rose's words. The gravity of their situation was overwhelming, and the thought of losing her sister again sent waves of dread crashing over her. "What do you want from me? How can I help?" "I just want us to talk, to remember the good times, to share our regrets, and to be honest about everything," Rose replied, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "There are things about our family, things I never understood until now." The mention of family secrets ignited Amelia's curiosity, and she leaned in closer. "What do you mean?" Rose hesitated, as if weighing her words carefully. "After Dad passed, I found some of his old journals. They were filled with thoughts about us that I never knew. He had dreams for both of us, dreams that he never had the chance to share." Amelia's heart raced at the revelation. "What kind of dreams?" Rose took a deep breath, her expression shifting to one of determination. "He wanted us to be close. He believed that our bond was unbreakable, even in the face of tragedy. He wrote about how much he admired our strength, how he hoped we would support each other through life's challenges." Amelia felt tears prick at her eyes again as she absorbed Rose's words. "I never realized how much he believed in us, in our relationship. I was so consumed by my own grief that I didn't see the bigger picture." "Neither did I," Rose admitted, her voice thick with emotion. "But I want to honor his memory by rebuilding what we lost. I want you to know everything he wrote, to understand how much he loved us both." The promise of shared stories and memories began to break down the remaining barriers between them. "I want to hear it, Rose. I want to know everything." A tentative smile broke across Rose's face, and for the first time in years, Amelia felt a flicker of hope ignite within her heart. They had a long road ahead, but as they began to share their father's stories, it felt like a new chapter was unfolding, one where forgiveness and understanding could flourish. "Can we start with the good memories?" Amelia suggested, her heart racing with anticipation. "Absolutely," Rose replied, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of nostalgia and joy. "Let's start where we left off, back when we were those two little girls dreaming of adventures." In that moment, as they began to weave through the tapestry of their shared past, Amelia felt the walls that had stood between them for so long begin to crumble. Each shared memory was a step toward healing, and as they laughed and cried together, the bond that had once felt lost began to shimmer with the warmth of reconciliation. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. Together, they began to rediscover the love that time and anger had tried to bury. And in that rediscovery lay the promise of a future filled with hope and understanding. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but for the first time in years, they felt ready to face them together as sisters, united by a shared history and a commitment to rebuild what had been broken. As they delved into their childhood memories, the laughter echoed through the dimly lit room, illuminating the shadows of regret that had lingered for so long. Amelia recalled the summer days spent climbing trees in their backyard, the thrill of reaching the highest branch while Rose cheered her on from below. Each story unlocked another door to their shared past, and with every recollection, they began to feel the weight of their anger lift, replaced by a sense of camaraderie that had once defined their relationship. Remember that time we tried to bake cookies and ended up with a kitchen disaster? Rose laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I swear we had more flour on us than in the dough. Amelia chuckled, the memory flooding back with vivid clarity. And Mom walked in just as you were trying to rescue the burnt ones. I thought she'd never stop laughing. With each anecdote, they built a bridge over the chasm of silence that had divided them. The warmth of nostalgia wrapped around them like a comforting blanket, and amidst the laughter, they could finally breathe again. As the conversation shifted to the more difficult moments, the arguments, the misunderstandings, the grief that had torn them apart, a new realization began to dawn. They had both been navigating their pain in isolation, unaware of how much they still needed each other. Dad's journals, they brought up a lot for me, Rose said, her voice softening. He wrote about how he wished he could have been there for us more, especially after the funeral. I think he felt he failed us by not bridging the gap between us. Amelia's heart ached at the thought. He loved us so much, but we let our anger overshadow that love. I wish I had understood that sooner. Rose reached out, her hand trembling slightly as she placed it over Amelia's. We can't change the past, but we can shape our future. I don't want to lose you again. The sincerity in Rose's voice sent a rush of warmth through Amelia. You won't. I want to be here for you no matter what happens. Let's make a promise to be honest with each other from now on. Promise, Rose replied, squeezing Amelia's hand gently. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow through the windows, the sisters continued to share stories, weaving together a tapestry of their lives that had been frayed and torn. They spoke of hopes, dreams, and the paths they had taken since their father's passing. Amelia discovered that Rose had always wanted to pursue art, a passion she had shelved in favor of practicality. In turn, Amelia spoke of her career, revealing the loneliness that sometimes accompanied her success. They learned that despite their different choices, they had both fought battles of their own, each longing for the connection they had lost. With the night deepening, a sense of peace settled around them. The shared vulnerability transformed the atmosphere, enveloping them in a cocoon of understanding. Can I read some of Dad's journals with you? Amelia asked, her heart racing with anticipation. I want to know everything he felt, everything he wanted for us. Rose smiled, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I'd love that. I think it would help us both. They spent the next few hours poring over the pages, their father's words revealing layers of love and wisdom. Each entry was a thread connecting them to the man they both adored, and as they read, they felt his presence wrapping around them like a warm embrace. With every passage, they unearthed not just their father's hopes for them, but also the foundation of their own relationship, one built on love, laughter, and the promise of unwavering support. Eventually, as the clock ticked past midnight, the sisters found themselves exhausted yet exhilarated. They had embarked on a journey that had reignited the bond they thought had been lost forever. Thank you for coming, Amelia. It means more than I can say, Rose whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Amelia smiled softly, her heart swelling with affection. Thank you for inviting me back into your life. I think we both needed this. With a new sense of purpose, they made a pact to continue their journey together, to heal not just their relationship but also the wounds of their shared past. They knew the path ahead would not be easy, especially with Rose's illness looming over them. But they also understood that together, they could face anything that came their way. Days turned into weeks, and their time together became a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. They created new memories, revisiting old haunts and sharing dreams that had long been dormant. Each moment was a testament to their resilience, a celebration of the love that had endured despite the trials they faced. As they navigated this fragile space of healing, they also began to confront the reality of Rose's illness. Together, they sought out doctors, researched treatments, and found solace in each other's unwavering support. It was a journey fraught with uncertainty, but every step was taken hand in hand, a testament to their renewed bond. One evening, as they sat side by side on the porch, the sun setting in a blaze of colors, Rose turned to Amelia, her expression serious. "I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'm grateful for every moment we've shared. You've given me the strength to face this." Amelia felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. "And you've reminded me of what truly matters in life, Rose. Family is everything." As the stars began to twinkle overhead, they sat in comfortable silence, each lost in their thoughts, yet connected by the unbreakable thread of sisterhood. It was a moment of peace, a reminder that even amidst the storms of life, love would always find a way to shine through. In the days that followed, they continued to share laughter and tears, weaving their way through the complexities of life. They learned to embrace vulnerability, to speak openly about their fears and hopes, and most importantly, to cherish the time they had left. Tea together. One afternoon, as they sat in the garden, Amelia turned to Rose, a determined look in her eyes. "Let's celebrate your life. Let's make a list of everything you want to do, everything you love. We'll make it happen." Rose's face lit up with joy. "That's a wonderful idea. I want to create new memories, not just dwell on the past." And so, they set out on a mission, crafting a list filled with adventures big and small. A trip to the ocean, painting classes, stargazing, and even a weekend getaway to the mountains. With each item they checked off, they forged new memories, weaving together the fabric of their lives with laughter and joy. They discovered that even in the face of uncertainty, life was still beautiful, filled with moments worth cherishing. As time passed, the sisters grew closer, their bond solidified by the understanding that love could transcend even the darkest of circumstances. They learned to lean on each other, to share their burdens, and to celebrate the small victories that brought light into their lives. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Rose turned to Amelia, her eyes shining with emotion. "Thank you for being my sister, for coming back into my life. You've changed everything." Amelia smiled, her heart swelling with love. "And thank you for reminding me of the importance of family. I'll always be here for you." In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the night sky, they both knew that their journey was far from over. Together, they would navigate whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their love and sisterhood. And as they looked up at the stars, they felt a sense of peace wash over them, a reminder that no matter what the future held, they would always have each other.